Good morning, Lev Nishmas Chava Yaakov. We're happy to have Rabbi Gringrass here today from Eretz Yisrael, and he'll be giving the Shuir today on Brachos. Wow.
Okay, so the Pele Yoetz continues. V'yechar ada ish militin davar l'teich pivlei bracha. A person should tremble, right? That's Lashon by Boyaz. V'yechar ada ish. A person should tremble about the thought of putting something into their mouth without making a bracha first. Shema goizel samelach achas damei lahamis. If a person steals from the king himself, of course, he'll be put to death. So alachas kama v'kama goizel melech machem lach makadosh baruch hu uknesses Yisrael. A person that doesn't make a bracha on the food they eat, it's as if they're stealing from HaKadosh Baruch Hu and from Knesset Yisrael, because that takes away from all the shefa that comes down. V'gama moil b'kodesh chayav misa. If a person benefits from something which is holy in the Beis HaMikdash, so it's din me'ila, and he's chayav misa for that. Vari amru shanena b'loi brachu ke'ilu moil b'kodesh. The Gemara says that a person that eats without first making a bracha, it's as if he was moil and kachim. Uke'ilu goizel HaKadosh Baruch Hu Knesset Yisrael. The physical food that we eat, that is what gives our guf koyach. Brachos hemazain hanefesh shegoyrim sheyishra shefa kedusha ala achila v'ala mashke. The bracha that we make on the food, that is food for our soul, right? And that puts holiness into the food and the drink. V'zeh kavanas hakasuv ki lo yelechem levad yichya ha'adam. Says this is the pshat in the pasuk that says that a person doesn't just live from the bread that he eats, but he also lives from, the pasuk says moitze pi Hashem. So he's learning over here that moitze pi Hashem means the bracha that the person makes to Hashem before eating the food. This is what the pasuk in Mishlei says, that a tzaddik eats and his nefesh is satiated, because besides the physical eating, which gives his body koyach, the bracha gives his nefesh, svia. So he goes on, person eats without a bracha, unless we say that the person is so used to just eating by habit that that's the limud chus, why chas v'shalom you'd forget to make a bracha, doesn't even remember to make a bracha. Now for that limud chus, a person should really deserve a very serious oynish for not making a bracha. Right? What's the big deal? What effort does a person have to make in making a short bracha? Right? If any person gives you something, so you thank the person. That's logical. We understand you have to thank the person. You thank for any different thing he gave you. The noise of gamhu shalikenu merachim the mitzvah. Is there a sweeter tongue than this? So these words, is there a sweeter tongue than this? This is a unique lashon that's in the Sefer Pele Yoetz. That's not in other svarim, and he says it over 10 times in the Sefer. It's a beautiful concept. He says that certain mitzvahs which we do, which we actually enjoy the mitzvah, yet we get schar for the enjoyment. Let's say you have the mitzvah of Oinuk Shabbos, right? Enjoy good food on Shabbos. Yet you're going to get schar for enjoying the food. He says the same thing over here. It's a logical thing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving you something. Of course, you have to thank him for it. You're going to get schar for thanking him for it, right? So he gave you the food. He gives you the mitzvah to make the bracha, and you're going to get schar for making the bracha. Yesh cheich masech mizeh. There's a very special word in the Pele Yoetz. So just on the topic of bracha, to share with you very quickly. First of all, there's another piece later on in the erech of bracha that the Pele Yoetz says a revolutionary chizuk, a revolutionary chiddush, which is really, really important to know. He brings a zayar that says that if a person gives someone else a bracha and they don't first give HaKadosh Baruch Hu a bracha, the bracha will not be mekoyim. Mamash a zayar meforish. And therefore he goes on and he says, and therefore I am noyek. Before I give a person a bracha, I say, Yisparach shmoish LaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then I give the bracha. And he lists some of his rebbeim, including the chidah, that were makbid on this. And he says, V'chein ani noyeg. I'm also noyeg that way. Before I give my kids a bracha, before I give a bracha v'ishra, first Yisparach shmoish LaKadosh Baruch Hu. I've asked Daily Yisrael, how come, you don't see people do this so much, and never got a good answer for that. There's in Eretz Yisrael, we have Rav Shraga Steinman, the son of Rav Steinman, a little bit under the radar for who he is. He's a Adam Gadol Ma'od, son of Rav Steinman, son-in-law of Rav Chaim Kanievsky, very fine person. And a friend of mine that's, maybe his Gabbai call him, told me an interesting thing. They were once driving somewhere, like down south in Eretz Yisrael, and all of a sudden Rav Shraga Steinman asked to stop. He gets out of the car, and this is like in no man's land, like mamash in the desert. and he walks up to a certain rock. He sits down over there, takes a cup of water, makes a shakal, and leaves. So this fellow asked him, like, why'd you get out of the car to go to that spot? And he says, we're driving and you see all this empty land. He said, I just had a hargasha that who knows when the last time someone made a bracha at that spot. Right? I want to be makadish the place by making a bracha there. Right? So besides, the logic of, before we're eating nene, we have to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have to realize that whenever you make a bracha, it's bracha. You're bringing bracha to the place you are. You're bringing mavar netzitzes, like it says in the Sefer Kabbalah. They speak about making a berkas ha'ilonis on Shabbos because of that, because you're being mevarer. But anyway, if anyone read the book Inside Their Homes, where I shared stories from Daily Yisrael, so there was a Rebbe in Yerushalayim, there was Rabbi Gringrass Zatzal, was a big tzaddik, a tzaddik nister, you can call him. And his wife was a very, very special, old Yerushalayim woman. And when people used to come to her, so she would put out, like a Rebbetzin, put out some cake for them to eat. And sometimes you don't feel comfortable, you don't necessarily eat. But she would say, leave over a bracha here, right? There's a completely different way of looking at it. You're in my house, I want you to leave here a bracha. By you making a bracha on food, I'm not just, giving you food to be polite. I want to have the schus of you making a bracha in my house. So she would ask this person, make a bracha. The person, no, I'm not hungry. No, leave me over a bracha. So, that puts it in a completely different aspect. So basically what we see from this Pele Yoetz is, it's something that we do all the time, maybe many times a day, but just put a little bit more thought in before eating. There's breaking a bracha, saying thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's something which is very logical. If we don't do it, it's very chamor. And just say the bracha a little bit slower and realize that there's big things going on when you make this bracha, right? Your mamish, the ruchniistic part of the food is going to now be, satiating not just your guf, but also your neshama by making the bracha. There's a lot more to it than just, quickly rattling out a bracha.